Well, of course, he's not going to respond to Republicans or to the American people of the atrocities and the failures that have occurred in Afghanistan, which is why I wasn't one of those that wanted to ask a question, because I knew he would, deflect or blame the Trump administration. I can't tell you how many times himself and the Democrats blamed the negotiation from the Trump administration prior to, despite the fact that President Biden has been the president since January. They were supposed to get out of Afghanistan in May 1 based on a conditions-based withdrawal that the Trump administration negotiated that they breached. So don't you think that the Taliban is going to start taking land and taking areas in Afghanistan because you breached the agreement? All of this happened under Blinken's watch. All of this happened under Biden's watch. And we all know what has happened. And still, as we sit here today, we have American citizens that are trapped behind enemy lines. We have American citizens that can't get out, and he's relying upon the Taliban to get them out. I never thought that we would see this in American history, that our government would be leaving American citizens behind enemy lines and be reliant on a globally recognized terrorist organization to get them out.
Yeah, the State Department issuing their own requests and requirements for a more inclusive Taliban government there. They sent their expectations, but clearly we're seeing already major issues under Taliban governing, quite frankly. As you point out, there are still Americans trying to leave the country. Have they been in contact with your office?
We've had some. We don't know where those are at, because when we make the request to the State Department, we don't get any information back. When we send letters to the State Department, we don't get any information back. I personally called when all this was happening. My assigned person at the White House, he never called me back. They're completely deflecting and ignoring Republicans. They're hoping that this will just disappear and the American people will not think about what's happened over there and what continues to happen over there as the mainstream media focuses on something else going on in our country. So let's just forget about what happened in Afghanistan and the fact that we still have people there. And now, just like your earlier reporting was stating, now they want to give them $64 million in American aid from taxpayer dollars to go to a terrorist organization. It's just beyond the pale that we're at this point in the history of our country, and this administration is doing nothing to protect American citizens and to protect American safety and security.
Talk to me about plans from fellow GOP members of Congress. What steps are being taken to address these issues that we see ongoing with what's happening in Afghanistan?
Well, there's going to be a reckoning when the Republicans take the House back next fall. Unfortunately, we can't do anything right now. The chairmans are all Democrat. They're run by Speaker Pelosi. The Senate's run by Democrats. So there's not much we can do to force these individuals to come and testify to us. You saw everything that's happening with Milley and the defense secretary. We should be calling those individuals up, putting them under oath, and asking them very, very tough questions and gathering evidence that we have as to what occurred. Blinken wouldn't even answer the question as to what they had said was a terrorist planner that they hit with a drone attack. He refused to answer the questions as to who that individual was, because now we're getting reports that it was an aid worker in a family, a civilian family. So they're refusing to answer Republican questions, and there will be a reckoning when Republicans take the House back next year.
Yeah, you point out specifically Senator Rand Paul, his line of questioning regarding that drone strike, and still many questions remain. We heard Secretary Blinken saying it's still under review. So we'll wait and see if we get any final answers on that. Final thoughts from you, Congressman, again, on what expectations are when it comes to jobs, security. You talk about this reckoning when Republicans could take the House, but what happens right now? Should there be resignations?
Oh, there absolutely should be resignations. Milley should be court-martialed. The Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of State should resign. Unfortunately, Biden's not going to allow them to do that or wants them to do that. And they're actually protecting all of them from information requests from Republicans. So you're not going to see this administration be held accountable for all of the things that have happened here as of late in Afghanistan, or what has happened recently with the General Milley.
All right. And again, this follows the 20-year war as well. Think of all the lives lost, and the lives lost during the process of withdrawing as well. 13 U.S. service members. Congressman Greg Steube of Florida, thank you very much for coming on the program and sharing your thoughts. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.